On today's bonus episode of Hungry for Wisdom, a theme song. Welcome to Hungry for Wisdom. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. You guys know how all that goes. I'm just recording a little snippet to add on to episode 15 where we got to meet Abner Solano, the missionary to Nicaragua. That one just got released. Let's see. That episode went up yesterday, Monday. Today's Tuesday. So I want you guys to listen to this as well because this is an update on some stuff that you heard. So Abner and his wife Laura are running a school down there. And shortly after we got done recording, they hopped on a plane, went back to Nicaragua, and they found out that some things had developed there politically that are not in the favor of their school. So basically, the government has been shutting down universities and some charities, some philanthropic organizations, from the way it sounds, that do not agree with the government, with their messaging, their narrative or their agenda. So, a lot of times, like there are times for Christians to keep your mouth shut, not about the gospel, but just about world events and focus on the mission. But then there are times where world events present themselves right on the doorstep of your mission, and you're forced to say things that God has said about things that you would rather not even engage because it's not part of your mission. So Laura and Abner, for example, their mission is to provide a Christian education to children. They're not trying to steer the politics of Nicaragua, but when they run around and start looking for people that disagree, you ask some Christians what they think about ungodly governmental activity, and the Bible has things to say, and that's what Christians are going to say. So that puts them in the crosshairs, and that puts them in some in a tricky situation. So I sent Laura a message and said, hey, here's your husband's episode that he did, the interview that we did, and I thought he was great. He's what a stud, did a good job. And so we talked a little bit, just kind of sending a couple messages back and forth, and I said, hey, it sounds like things are pretty wild down there. We'll be praying for you. And here was her response. She said, well, things aren't wild yet. It's just concerning the way things are going, as several universities and NGOs, non-governmental organizations, were shut down this past week. Please pray for the students and staff of those universities. And she said, please continue to pray for our school that we may remain open. And then a couple messages later, actually this was today, so this was a day after that message. She said, please keep praying. The more I learn about the situation here, the more dire things seem. And then she said at the end, we appreciate you joining us in prayer. So I wanted to put that out to you guys. We're also going to put it out on the church prayer channels and so on, so that we can be praying for our missionaries. They're influencing children. They're influencing the next generation, giving them education, giving them, a worldview and some stability and all those wonderful stories that you just heard on episode 15 from Abner. And so we do not want them to get shut down, but we know that, God is also in charge of absolutely everything. His sovereignty is the primary factor in all these geopolitical events. So we can ask him for absolutely anything that we want, and we can ask him for protection of this school, and then we'll see what he does and rest easy in his sovereign decision. So be praying for Abner and Laura, be praying for the students down there, and the situation continues to kind of escalate with government persecution of any dissidents. And, we've seen this before in many different governments, many different ways and times, and to many different degrees. And it doesn't always end horribly. And then, a minority of the time, it does. And so, anyway, we want them to stay on the field and effective to live out their plans there, but we'll see if their plans are also God's plans. So pray to a very sovereign God for his very good and dedicated and sanctified servants, and ask that they would be good representations of the Lord Jesus Christ. All right, guys, we'll see you on episode 16.
Hungry for Wisdom is a ministry of Grace and Truth Community in West Richland, Washington. You can find out more about us on our app, social media, or at graceandtruthcommunity.com. We love him because he first loved us.